So we'll call the meeting to order. It's just turned 6 o'clock. The only alteration we have to the agenda tonight is we have student matter, and we would like to move that up to underneath board orders. Other than that, we have approval for the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none. Now it's in green. All those approving the agenda as it's been updated and approved, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstained? Okay. We have an approved agenda. Public comment. This is the time in which the board welcomes public comment. If there's any public that would like to talk, you have 2 minutes. If you choose not to at this point, once the window closes, the board will no longer recognize you. Any public comment? Okay. So in the routine business, minutes of the March 9th board meeting, March 26th special board meeting, April 2nd personnel committee meeting. Does the board want to approve those all at the same time? If so, we need a motion to do that.
Motion approved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of approving each one of these minutes individually say, or together, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstained? Okay. Now we'll go down to board orders.
I've reviewed the board orders listed on the back of the page of our agenda dated 2/20, 3/6, and 3/20. Everything looks on order, and I'd like to make a motion to approve forward.
Seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of approving the board orders, say aye.
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 Opposed or abstained? Okay. Now we're going to go into the student matter. We need to enter into executive session for that. We need to review all the executive session with your superintendent and the principal.
Motion to enter,
Motion to move into that?
motion to enter executive session.
Second that.
All those in favor of approving this, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstained? Okay. Can everybody hear me that's on the screen? As a person that's called in, your last two digits of your phone number are 87. And just for my own curiosity, who are we speaking with?
It's me, Jan Sander.
Oh, okay. Hi, Jan, how are you?
Okay, I couldn't get on through the Google Meet. It refused to let me into the meeting.
I'm sorry. Probably share your phone number and I'll have to memorize that last two digits. Okay,
I'd like to make a motion that the school board accept the recommendations of the administration and that the school board chair transmit that message to the family and the student.
Second that motion.
any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed or abstained? Okay,
I'm abstaining since I wasn't in on the meeting.
Jan, what I'll do is I'll give you a call right afterwards and I'll let you know.
Okay,
Does anyone else need to recuse themselves?
What's that? I've already voted, so. Okay. Move on to legislative updates.
Right. You got that, Randy?
Working on it.
We'll pull it up on the screen, but I just, there's more in the PowerPoint deck here than I think we probably need to spend time on, but we're gonna focus really on H955, which is the next steps in education transformation, as well as, and that's probably gonna be our primary focus, but just go ahead to the third slide. All right, so just to get everybody grounded, I know we've got some newer board members here, but Act 73, just from an implementation update perspective. Act 73 restructures education governance and finance system statewide. It creates a foundation funding formula. It evaluates regional service delivery models. We referred to those previously as BOCES. It prescribes larger school districts for efficiency and quality. And where we are in the middle of this session is that Act 73 is exempt from crossover deadlines. So it's not like it was subject to any votes prior to crossover to come out of committee. We have House and Senate proposals that share very little and a lot of unanswered questions around CTE funding, pre-K, transportation, and a lot of questions around timelines. We'll move on to very briefly the yield bill on the next. So just wanted to reiterate for everybody that Governor Scott has again announced a $105 million buy down of the tax rate that is in the yield bill that is moving through. You know, I think a number of leaders have questioned the practice of buying down rates because it temporarily, brings them down, and then you see like a double spike next year. And so the House Ways and Means Committee will set and pass the yield bill in the coming weeks. And I think there's some question as to whether the governor's fund transfer will be used to buy down the property tax rates, or whether it's redirected elsewhere, like transportation or other infrastructure. A number of the education associations have continued to advocate for restructuring homestead, non-homestead tax systems, adjusting second home tax rates, and establishing regional appraisals. Moving on. So recently, on April 2nd, we got H95 coming out of the House Education Committee that passed on a 7-4 party line vote. That's now with Ways and Means. Just some key provisions within H955. It renamed BOCES to Cooperative Education Service Areas, or CESAs. All supervisory unions are assigned to one of 7 CESAs statewide, 7 across the whole state. And each CESA must provide shared special education, business services, and merger facilitation. The bill also sets up study committees where school districts must participate in study committees to evaluate the advisability of forming unified union school districts. Committees must complete reports by December 1st, 2027, and then they will vote on mergers by November 7th, 2028. And in terms of Act 73 timeline, this pushes the contingent effective date in Act 73 back effectively 2 years, from 2028 all the way back to 2030. And it adds multiple preconditions before foundation formula takes effect. And it also requires a joint fiscal office study on pre-K funding. So moving on to the next slide, in terms of what this means for Lowell North, we are assigned to the Winooski Valley CESA, which along with another 9 supervisory unions that spread from White River Valley down in the south, which covers towns like Sharon, all the way to us in the north. So pretty broad geography, and a lot of supervisory unions that span quite a large distance within central Vermont. It also sets up a study committee. So we've been assigned Group 16. I think we've talked about some of the proposed maps previously. This groups us with Cambridge, Craftsbury, Elmore, Morristown, UUSD, Hazen Union, Mountain View, Stannard, Stowe, and Wolcott. So some key implications for our district. The board must appoint a CESA director within 30 days of passage. The district is required to participate in the Group 16 study committee. The study committee must explore advisability of forming a unified union school district, so basically a consolidated school district. And CESAs will provide shared education, business administrative services, and merger facilitation. Moving on, so the governor has responded as of April 8th in a press conference to H955. He's basically said, he was very clear to share his disappointment, and that is unacceptable. He really wants mandatory consolidation. Ideally, he gets his way and we go to 5 large districts, which is the initial proposal, and we wouldn't go down sort of voluntary study committees under the CESA law. He continues to reference how the House has punted the decision, and Secretary Saunders has been, I think, equally critical, and you've got a pretty big legislative response saying the governor's response is productive. I think Chair Conlon has acknowledged that mandatory mergers are fraught with potential risks and costs, and that it's politically unrealistic. So we're a long ways of getting through Ways and Means. I just wanted to kind of give everybody a pretty fresh update as to what's going on with H955, which is probably the most significant legislation that's out there right now. I'll briefly just touch on one other thing that we talked about previously. In H842, this is the Commission on Public School Employee Health Benefits, and just a heads up that this did not move out of move past crossover, so it did not advance. Remains in House General and Housing. I think there's some talks about whether this maybe gets picked up in some other bills that are out there, but personally I was I was pretty disappointed because it seemed like this was gaining some momentum and fixing some problems that really needed to be addressed. Instead, we were kind of kicking the can down the road and ignoring these problems. We will circulate this. There's a number of other slides in here, including an appendix with a number of bills and their current status. A lot of this was taken from the legislative report number 2 that was sent out by the VSBA. Hopefully you all are receiving VSBA emails. I find them incredibly helpful. But I guess I will leave it at that, and I don't know if you want to open up for questions, comments.
Bart, I will share the slides with everybody.
Thank you.
I guess one thing I'll add to this, I had the opportunity to make my first meeting for the VOTEC. Eric gave basically the same presentation to all the board members with a few added caveats. Correct me if I'm wrong, state seems to want to consolidate the vocational industry as well.
Yes, no, one statewide district.
Yeah, so they're going down that avenue both with the schools and with the vocational schools, so.
I also saw that BT Digger, I believe, just did a story about, I think it was the Joint Fiscal Office was already working towards studies on what it would look like if Vermont did not have a state budget that was passed, which has never happened before in the state of Vermont. And the early report was basically like, nobody has any idea what that would look like, who's considered an essential employee in departments, how does that impact Medicaid payments, things like that. So, you know, to whether Governor Scott's comments are hollow or not, sounds like some work is being done to imagine what that would look like.
Anybody else screen or otherwise? No. So. You have a data update.
Is it been a mic? Is there, are those working up? Like, will people online hear me?
Yeah, but here you
Okay.
Certainly.
Good evening. We're going to do our look at data tonight. So excited. I know you've been waiting for this moment. We are going to look at our FastBridge data. FastBridge is a comprehensive test, meaning when it looks at literacy, it looks at a broad range of literacy skills, or it looks at math, it looks at a broad range of math skills. It's research-based and highly regarded. So it's one of the few screeners that was recommended by our AOE, strongly recommended screeners by the AOE under the Act 139 literacy law that's new this year. It's used K through 8 in our district. It evaluates, it screens students in reading and math. So if a problem is found in reading and math, it's a screener, meaning that we then need to do something diagnostic. So that child's in the red in the lowest category. We still have to go and give a diagnostic assessment that takes longer to find out what is the kid actually missing that's causing them to be in the lowest category. Next slide. We're gonna look at the growth data. We've talked about that before. We're gonna look at the fall to winter. So remember, sometimes a student is in the highest level of growth, but they still might be below grade level, or sometimes a student has made a modest amount of growth, but they're above grade level. And we're going to look at normative data. So we're gonna see how our students are comparing to other students who took this same test across the country. So this is math, grades 2 through 8, and one thing FastBridge does is at the K1 level, students have tests that they sit with a teacher and do so that they're not on the computer, and that's part of how it's so accurate, even at those younger grade levels, because kids alone on the computer in kindergarten aren't very accurate test takers. So this is for grades 2 through 8, and as you can see, 15% of our students had aggressive growth, so that's a good thing. They used the word aggressive, but it's not that our students are aggressive, it was aggressive growth. And then 55% had typical growth, 10% had modest, and 20% had flat. And again, then we do diagnostic assessments and we find out what the child is missing, and data teams make a plan about what we're going to do to meet that child's needs. In the literacy, similarly, we had 14% making that aggressive growth, 56 typical, 10% modest, and 20% flat. And so it's Act 139 that requires that we do a diagnostic and make a plan, but we put it in place in our district for literacy and math. As long as we're doing literacy, we did math as well. And we can look at the younger kiddos now. Here is math for K1. So 22% aggressive growth, 55% typical, 8% modest, 16% flat. And here's the literacy, 15% aggressive, 55% typical, 10% modest, 21% flat. Any questions on our FastBridge data? Yes.
Flat, modest, typical, aggressive, is that defined by FastBridge, or do we set those parameters?
No, they set those parameters and they're exact percentiles that match. So in the aggressive category, that means they made more growth than 85% of students. There's bands that they have that define it, and then those are the words, even the words were chosen by FastBridge.
And that's like, in that case, it's 85% of students across all of the FastBridge population?
That's my understanding, yes, right? Everyone who uses that test normed across the country.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Fiscal 27. Don't want to forget this. Fiscal 27, non-represented staff pay increases. Oh, isn't that nice? So, normally after we get done doing all the support staff, all the teachers and all the rest, we come down to our folks that aren't represented. So we have made all of our board goals already. We've taken with the help of these folks and passed our budget pretty soundly. So my recommendation, the non-represented staff, $2 an hour for 6.5% comprehensive, and to the exempt salaried non-represented staff, 4.5%. Now, these are both below what the teachers and the rest are getting, and I think it's quite reasonable, it's well within our budget. We should support this.
So moved.
I'll second that.
And any discussion?
Can you remind us roughly how big is this population of unrepresented staff?
Deb is on.
Deb?
So it's less than 100 of us. I haven't actually counted the names, but if you would like me to.
No, I'm just looking for a ballpark.
Yeah, it's right around 100. So it's I would say less than 25% of our staff.
And the numbers that you just presented is what Deb included in the budget?
Yes, they're in the budget.
Yes, these increases, we waited till the budget's passed. These increases fit within the personnel costs along with the teacher increases and the represented support staff increases.
One of the things as we think about this, I'm in the process, quite frankly, of playing around with the national payroll system as far as what goes on within the feds and the movement and the rest of it. We have, as we all know, pretty talented staff, and we need to keep them within the mid-range of their salary or creeping up on that, because we have nobody that's at the top end of the salary. And we got a pretty talented staff. We well supported them in the past. And by the way, they've always gotten much bigger pay raises in the past. They've matched some of the other folks. So they quite frankly asked to be held below those, which is quite a tribute to those same people. So they want to be here. They do an awesome job for us. So I obviously support this.
To give you a little more precise, it's actually 71 names on my list.
Thanks, Deb.
Yeah, thanks.
So I have a motion. It's been seconded. Any other questions? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of supporting these two pay raises, say aye.
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 Opposed or abstained?
Abstained.
Okay, we've passed them. I guess we got a brief break now.
It's because Cambridge needs to do the same thing with their board.
Step outside one quick.
Okay, so we'll,
I was like, do we have to break? Can't we just go?
how long do you need, Mark?
As long as that was, maybe 5 minutes.
Okay, let's take a break for 5 minutes and reconvene about quarter after. So our brief break is 7:15. We're back. Mark is all done with his business. So we'll call the meeting back into order. E-rate Category 1 Internet Service Provider.
Yes, I will try to make this brief. As many of you know, E-rate is a federal program put on by USAC, which is the Universal Service Administration Company, part of the FCC. It's on your cell phone bill. You probably see a little FCC fee. That all that money goes towards the FCC, and in part, some of it goes to the E-rate program. There are two categories. Category 1, which we're going to talk about first, is for internet and carrier Ethernet services. So this is our internet provider for the district. We are up for our contract renewal for Category 1. We are currently with formerly CCI, which is consolidated. They are now Fidium Fiber. We went out to bid using the E-rate requirements, which is done separately from how we normally do our bids here at the district. It's all done through the portal itself, through E-rate, through qualified vendors. We received, 2 bids back for our renewal. The one thing to note is this is removing the Belvedere circuit for Belvedere Central School. But other than that, our renewal rate actually came in lower than what we are currently paying. This will be a 3-year term, and Fidium Fiber, formerly CCI, came in with the best bid of $73,728. They met the specifications in our current vendor. If we went with First Light, who did come in a little lower, that would pose some implementation risk, as we would have to purchase new hardware to make that circuit work. So it's the recommendation that we proceed with Fidium Fiber for the award. So E-rate is 80% reimbursement currently. So for the total $73,728, the district share would, one second here. The annual amount would result in a district cost of $14,745. So the administration recommends that the board award the contract to Fidium Fiber in the amount of $73,728 annually, to be paid from the FY27 general fund and subsequent general funds. The district anticipates an annual E-rate reimbursement of $58,982.40, which is 80%, resulting in a net annual cost of $14,745.60. Over the full 3-year term, the total gross cost will be $221,184, with an anticipated E-rate reimbursement of $176,947.20, resulting in a total net cost to the district of $44,236.80.
So do we have a motion to?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the bid from Fidium.
Second.
Any discussions? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of approving Fidium Fiber, say aye.
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 Opposed or abstained? Okay,
Category 2, which is for network infrastructure. It covers the hardware side in order to bring internet services to students, so anything hardware related when it comes to the internet. So we also went out to bid. Category 2 is a 5-year term, so we have funding for 5 years that just started. It is a recommendation to spend a few years worth of funding up front, as we don't know what the future of E-rate or this federal program will look like. So we went out to bid to solicit for wireless and switching for all of our elementary schools, excluding Cambridge, so just in MUUSD. We received 3 bids back, and category 2 is based off of the lowest bidder, which was Resilient Networks. They provided everything we were looking for all the sites. So, sorry, give me 1 second. In the memo, there's a split of what each site would be responsible for. This is all part of the FY27 general fund already. So the total project cost is $145,501.09. E-rate would cover $116,487, leaving the district share of 20% at $29,100.22. So the administration recommends that the board award the E-rate category 2 contract to Resilient Networks in the amount of $145,501.09, with the district share of $29,122 to be funded through FY27 general fund. And then just this enhancement will also enhance the wireless performance, network speed capacity, and long-term reliability at our sites.
So do we have a motion to approve Resilient Networks for category 2?
So moved.
So, second.
Any further discussion?
How does that stack up with previous annual costs for wireless and switching?
So we're actually cutting down on the number of switches that we need at sites. We're kind of looking at what's currently being used. About 8 years ago, there was a grant done to purchase a bunch of switches. So we're cutting down on the costs compared to what we spent 8 years ago. And we used to have a district share, or the E-rate reimbursement was at 70%. So now that we're at 80%, we're actually getting a better bang for our buck now than we were before. I don't know the exact numbers, but I know we're definitely saving some.
Thank you.
Katie?
Why is it only the elementary schools?
So category 2 does cover all the other sites too. We're looking to complete our elementary schools. We actually did a lot of work at our main campus last year through our general fund. So they're just not, I mean, they will need some work, yes, just they're good for another couple of years though. And I'll be going to the Cambridge board as well to work with Cambridge.
Any other questions? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of approving Resilient Networks for category 2, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstained? Okay.
Thank you.
Accept fiscal year 25 audits. I'm assuming that's Deb.
So the audits have been completed. We received, again, a clean, unqualified opinion. Unqualified means there were no findings, so unqualified is good. There were no disagreements with management in preparing the financial statements and during the audit, and the organization remains healthy. Accepting the audits does not mean the board agrees with what the audit says. It just means that the auditors handed it over and you're accepting it. I respectfully request a motion to accept the audits. These will be posted on the website once they're completed.
We have a motion to accept the audit.
So moved.
Second.
Any further questions? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of approving the fiscal year 25 audit, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed or abstained? Okay.
Thank you.
And I was just requested under administrator updates that Kat be the one that does the speaking. So all of you other administrators that were dying to say something, if you don't mind, Kat speaks. Okay.
I speak anyway. I think for purposes of getting some important information out. So Bart covered beautifully what's happening with Bill 955, but I do want to point out that interestingly, there are some good things about it, and that is sort of the staged and slower, more methodical way of making change. However, the last change to be made 5 years out would be the ed funding piece. And that is the piece that is undeniably most important to people. So again, these bills conflate governance and ed spending. They need to be separated. So I don't know that this bill is going to go very far. I did have an opportunity to talk to one of our legislators at length last week, and she is very much opposed to this. The CISAs that are being suggested are way too big, and Bart touched on this. Who is going to want to consolidate services and travel from this part of the region down to White River Valley? I know that's your home, but I just don't think it makes sense. So there are a lot of things that aren't right about it. The other piece, and this is an early ed piece, schools were going to be tasked with pre-K expansion. We believe in that because that is the best indicator of student success, and that is early access to school. But the state was not going to give us weights, full weights for those students. And so we would bear the brunt, we being taxpayers, and schools would bear the brunt of that. So that's going to be reworked. Those are sort of the most important pieces, other than this bill also talks about voluntary mergers, but yet it forces conversations about mergers. So it feels a little, it doesn't feel true. So we will see what comes of that. We were very successful in hiring an elementary school principal for Cambridge Elementary School. Paula did a great job orchestrating that, and thanks to everyone who was on that team. This is Kim Lesney is the hire, and she comes from Mount Mansfield Unified School District, and we're very excited to have her. Chris Hennessy is retiring this year, and he recently let us know that, which gives us an opportunity to think about what we want that model to look like. The assistant principal is also leaving and is going to stay home with her children. So given that Act 73 and transformation at some point will occur in the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, we are looking at, I have been looking at models of 7 through 12. It's something that is very important to think about. You know, when you have a middle school located in Cambridge, let's say, and a high school located here, it's very easy to have different systems. When you have a middle and high school in one building, there are 2 different discipline systems, 2 different sort of sets of expectations and norms. The culture is different. This is an opportunity for us to think bigger and to think about a 7 through 12 model where we'd obviously have to plug in some supports. It's not a matter of hiring more people, it's a matter of perhaps reshifting. Paula, again, is working on the interview process. There, I think by the end of this week will be 4 people who have been interviewed, and 3. If we can nurture from within and don't find the right immediate candidate, that is what I think we're going to do. We know our people, and we have some pretty talented people at the middle and high school level, as we do at the elementary level. But we're talking about this. So I think it's an opportunity to have perhaps one principal, a dean of students, an AP that deals with operations and facilities. There are configurations, and when I have it more, well, we have to see what happens with this interview process first, but I'm thinking about all iterations of that. That might be impactful and important. So stay tuned on that. Any thoughts about that? Any questions about that? Just whispering, people. Teasing you.
I'll just make the statement that I'm encouraged to hear that we aren't just, we're very selective in the interview process. And, you know, if we don't find the right people, then we do look internally into rethink the model. I think that I'm a bit intrigued. I think that you might be onto something there, so.
Well, more to come. Stay tuned. See how this process figures out. But we're not gonna give it too much time. If we can't find the right something after spring break, April break, we're gonna actively move forward trying to figure this out.
Any other business?
I do quickly just want to touch base if I may.
Sure.
So just quickly, projections are done. This is the time of year we do projections for the end of the fiscal year. Our districts look healthy. I will talk to Cambridge about theirs at their next meeting. We are looking at modest surpluses at the modified unified elementary, the modified unified middle and high, and GMTCC. For the first time in 10 years, LNSU is doing additional bill back of centralized operations. So LNSU basically comes to zero at the end of the year, no surplus. We have, when there's been excessive surpluses, we have done a reverse bill back. We've put some of those funds back to the districts. Overall, we're looking healthy, and these projections will be coming out in the next, well, this week.
Okay. Thank you, Deb.
Thank you.
Any other business? Seeing and hearing none, do we have a motion to adjourn? So stated. Okay. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.